A Newshub investigation uncovers more allegations against a priest accused of sexual abuse in Upper Hutt.
The Prime Minister pays tribute to a New Zealand woman killed in a robbery in California.
The government says an overhaul of planning rules will bring a flood of new houses, but will it mean more urban sprawl?
And Bowden's on the bench for the first test of the Razor-Robertson era.
Tēnā tātou katoa, good evening. A Newshub investigation into historic allegations of abuse at a Catholic-run orphanage in Upper Hutt has led to revelations the church has already upheld a separate complaint against one of the priests accused.
The church is currently investigating Steve Carvel's complaint that alleges he was abused when he was a 7-year-old boy by two priests at St Joseph's orphanage in the 1970s.
Another complaint about Father Noel Donoghue went to the church in 2006 and was investigated.
And tonight, a third person is coming forward alleging he too was abused by Donoghue. Investigations correspondent Michael Morra has the story.
It was two grainy historical images of Father Noel Donoghue broadcast on Newshub in March, which immediately triggered a strong reaction from this man.
Yeah, that horrifies me. Sent a shiver up my spine because as soon as I seen the photo of Noel Donoghue, it sort of brought it back.
Back to those days at St Joseph's Upper Hutt. He was a student at the primary school and his family went to the church where he was an altar boy.
Either before or after the Mass, he'd give me a hug, and it was uncomfortable because even at that young age, I still know now that it wasn't right because it was erect.
Until recently, he had only ever told his wife what happened. As a young boy who was raised Catholic, he never dreamt of speaking out back then.
Scared, had no one to turn to, but because they wouldn't believe me, because they saw him as God.
He says Donoghue, who died in 2005, abused him again as a teenager at the presbytery, which is attached to St Joseph's Church. Only this time, he says, it was more forceful.
He grabbed me and hugged me and pressed me up against the wall, and he was erect, to which I just was horrified. So
he was holding you there?
He was holding me there, yeah.
He managed to push Donoghue off and he ran. It was in 1977 when Donoghue was head priest at St Joseph's in Upper Hutt that Steve Carvel says he was raped by Donoghue while staying at St Joseph's orphanage.
It's the most painful thing that I've ever felt in my life.
It was Carvel's allegations against Donoghue which prompted this man to come forward.
Support Steve, this is what my eco is about.
Steph Moynihan also contacted Newshub after we published Carvel's allegations. She says her late dad, former Kapiti College principal Peter Goodwin, received a complaint about Donoghue abusing one of his pupils in the late 80s, when Donoghue was living in Waikanae.
The woman who was caring for this boy was very, very concerned, and she got in touch with my dad, who was principal at Kapiti College where the boy was attending, and was very concerned that the boy was being interfered with.
She says her dad raised it with Donoghue's superiors, but was disappointed with the response.
Brushing it under the carpet. We'll just park that over there and we won't worry about it.
Is that how your dad felt?
Yeah.
Newshub has now learned the church received an entirely different complaint in 2006 about Donoghue's conduct in 1984 in Waikanae. The Archbishop of Wellington said it was investigated and the outcome was that the complaint was upheld based on the balance of probabilities. Paul Martin says his predecessor, Cardinal John Dew, would have known about the 2006 complaint. We asked Dew about it. He said he didn't remember, but then made inquiries. I have to acknowledge now that I was wrong and that your information is correct, he said in a statement. I don't have any specific details other than that I am told it was not an allegation of sexual abuse, and I still do not recall it at all. The church labelled it a serious boundary violation, which was investigated by the Sexual Abuse Protocol Committee. Dew and Donoghue worked together at St Joseph's Parish in the 70s. In March, Dew told Newshub Donoghue was a mentor and he was surprised by Steve Carvell's allegation against Donahue.
I find that very hard to believe. Very hard to believe.
And why is that?
Well, just didn't expect it of the person that I came to know.
He says he stands by his comments Donahue was a mentor and says he never observed any misconduct by him. Between Steve Carvell, our source, the late Kapiti College principal and the other complainant who went straight to the church, there are now 4 complaints against Donahue that we know of.
Oh, Michael, this is a big development. Did the police know about that complaint in 2006?
Well, no, Sam, they didn't. As we know, police have been investigating Steve Carvell's allegations over the past few months, and police told me today that no one from the church made them aware of the 2006 complaint. It's understood this complaint only surfaced after a private investigator from the church-run agency that deals with complaints, known as NOPS, started asking questions of the Wellington diocese. So this 2006 complaint will form part of that NOPS investigation into Steve Carvell's allegations.
Michael, thanks for that update. 2 people have been arrested in a case of the unidentified woman's body fished up in a bag at Gulf Harbour.
The pair, who have name suppression, appeared in court earlier this week, but in an odd twist, after releasing details about the arrests, police then suppressed their own announcement so media couldn't report it. Alice Wilkins has the details.
A man and woman, both 36 years old and both facing charges of interfering with human remains. But the body still hasn't been identified.
Your Honour, plea can be taken today. It's not guilty through counsel.
In March, an Auckland fisherman spotted a bag in the water near Whangaparoa. When he pulled it in, the contents was unexpectedly horrifying.
Opened it up, big chunk of meat. Looked like maybe a leg, like a leg of lamb type thing, that sort of thing, big chunk of meat. And I thought, oh, somebody's thrown their meat waste away. Lo and behold, hand appears.
Police determined the person was a woman between her 30s and 50s and likely of Chinese descent, releasing these images of the pyjamas she was dressed in.
If there's a woman in your community that matches this description that you haven't seen for a while or you have some concerns about, please make contact with the investigation team.
They have also been working with Interpol, and on Sunday night they arrested the man and woman attempting to leave the country. Police released information about the arrests earlier this week, but when the defendants appeared in court on Monday, police retracted their statement and orders to take down articles and stop any further reporting were made. The order lapsed today. Police aren't ruling out further arrests or charges and have been searching an Orewa house in relation to the wider investigation. The pair have pleaded not guilty, but investigators will be hoping they're another step closer to solving the mystery of a woman found in the water. Alice Wilkins, Newshub.
Friends and family have been remembering the funny, loyal and loving New Zealand woman who was run over and killed after an armed robbery in Southern California.
Trish Mackay was shopping with her husband Doug when they were attacked. Laura Tupou reports.
Halfway around the world while shopping at an upmarket mall in Southern California, 68-year-old Kiwi Trish Mackay's life was taken.
20-30 people came running around the corner, screaming, there's gunshots, there's gunshots.
Emergency services swarmed the area where Trish and her husband Doug were robbed at gunpoint by 2 men.
At this point, we believe the suspects dragged her into the street.
Then a third man in a getaway car hit and killed Mackay. The suspects fled, one of them on foot, prompting a police pursuit. The 2 others ditched the car and one hid, but was eventually arrested. All 3 are now in custody on suspicion of homicide, robbery with firearm and conspiracy. A spokesperson for the Mackay family released a statement saying, "No words can express our sadness as we try to come to terms with the loss of our mother, wife and friend Patricia. We ask for privacy at this time as we work through this as a family." Her husband Doug is a prominent businessman and former Auckland Council CEO. The Prime Minister, who knows the Mackays, says it was a tragic situation.
They are great New Zealanders and great people, and I just want the country and their friends and family and their community to get around them and love them.
Auckland's Deputy Mayor Desley Simpson said Trish was amazing, funny, loyal and loving.
join with me in sending our very deepest and most sincere condolences to the Mackay family.
Her death was marked with a minute's silence at a meeting today. A senseless tragedy on what should have been a happy trip to visit family in the US. Laura Tupou, Newshub.
The government is promising new planning rules will bring a flood of new houses onto the market.
No urban-rural boundaries, increased intensification and no minimum size limits for apartments are among the changes. As business correspondent Simon Shepherd reports, the Housing Minister says the market, not planners, should decide what gets built where.
Too few, too expensive. A broken market many ministers have promised to fix. Now it's Chris Bishop's turn.
What we need is housing affordability in New Zealand. Houses are too expensive in New Zealand, rents are too high, and it's locking a whole generation of young New Zealanders out of the housing market.
So, sweeping changes are on the way. Councils will no longer have rural-urban boundaries. Instead, they must zone land to meet 30 years of housing demand. Previous medium-density rules become optional, but councils will have to enable intensification 6 stories or higher along transport corridors. There should also be more apartments and shops in the same developments, and councils cannot set minimum size or balcony requirements. Bishop's vision, those international cities where people live, work and shop in the same place.
New Zealanders go overseas to places like Sydney and Melbourne and London, Paris, other cities around the world, and they come home and they say, why can't we be like those cities?
So that means zoning lots of land to go up and out.
Getting these policy settings right now will mean that as we head into a more prosperous part of the market cycle, developers may be able to build more of the homes that New Zealanders need.
But what will they build? Major councils will have to allow 6 stories or more around train and bus routes, but Bishop doesn't agree that means rows of tiny apartments without balconies or car parks.
What we're doing is liberalising the rules so that people will build what the market demands. So if there's no demand for 20 square metre shoebox apartments, they won't be built, simple as that.
The stuff for the apartments in this announcement, that's a good idea, building on what we already had lined up. The other stuff, we just want to see the details first.
So does local government New Zealand. It wasn't consulted on these changes and wants to know who's going to pay for the new roads and pipes.
We obviously really support housing growth and councils want to see more housing growth. But until we see funding for councils to deliver that growth, I don't think we're going to see the expected results.
Chris Bishop says that whoever is building the houses and using the pipes and roads will probably pay for them, but he'll have more to say on infrastructure financing later this year, all part of his plan to bring down prices and fix a housing crisis. Simon Shepherd, Newshub.
Wairoa's residents are threatening to take the Hawke's Bay Regional Council to court over the flooding of 400 homes because it failed to dig a channel in the River Bar to protect the town. Alexa Cook has the details. Kia ora, Alexa. So who's suing the council?
Kia ora, Mike. Well, look, Newshub understands there is a group of residents and insurance companies who are looking at taking a class action against the Regional Council for its failure to act quicker and save the town from flooding. Now, that's because there is a river bar at the Wairoa river mouth, and it's the Regional Council's job to dig a channel in that bar, to clear it during big weather events so that the river can then make its way out to sea more easily. But last week, a contractor wasn't brought in to do that work until it was too late. Residents are furious, and the Mayor is demanding an apology from the Regional Council, although he's yet to get it. And the reason they're so angry is because there was this report that was published after Cyclone Gabrielle detailing what improvements could have been made to this river bar and the management of the Regional Council and their job in looking after it. And it's clear that perhaps they have not learnt the lesson at all from this report. And that's why legal experts say that they could have a really strong case here to take action against the Regional Council and try and claim back some of those millions of dollars of damage that was so avoidable. I reached out to the Regional Council and they have refused to comment on this.
Alexa, tēnā koe.
Labor's latest soul-searching mission has landed it at the epicentre of its electoral defeat, Auckland.
The party caucus spent 2 days in the city of Sales talking to Aucklanders about what went wrong and how they can make it right. Political editor Jenna Lynch has the story.
Still chewing over the reasons for defeat.
We all know the size of the overall job that we've got ahead.
9 months on, Labor's stuck in its reflection era, still picking over the remains of electoral obliteration.
When does the reflection era end for Labor?
I think we have to constantly review where we're at. We're only 6 months, 7 months in.
slowly building up to start talking about a rebuild.
Rebuilding our movement so that we're a formidable force when we head into the next election.
Just don't expect them to serve up any policy.
The policy development process is going to take a wee while, but we're doing that simultaneously alongside the listening exercise.
The party had been deliberately keeping a low profile, aware that the public didn't really want to hear from them for a while.
I think people are hearing from us now, but in terms of new policy, I think it's still too early for that.
Labor's been in a state of internal soul searching since the election. The couple of days in Auckland were about reconnecting with the public. Auckland is where elections are won and lost, and Labor knows it.
If we want to be back in government in 2.5 years' time, then we need to win back a good chunk of that support here in Auckland that we lost at the last election.
The 3 C's are what lost it for them: COVID, crime, cost of living. Are you the right person to win back Auckland?
Yeah, I am. I think I'm the right person to lead the Labor team into the next election.
Chris Hipkins had a direct ministerial hand in 2 of those problems. He was the police minister while retail crime soared. He was the COVID minister that kept Auckland locked down for 3 months.
The 2026 election campaign won't be a rerun of the 2023 election campaign. You know, we'll be offering different policies.
There's Auckland MPs backing him. Is Chris Hipkins going to be the leader at the next election?
100%, 150%.
Chippy offers stability. He understands Parliament. He can get things done. Those are the things that Aucklanders want.
The challenge now, keeping the team together until the party pops its head above the policy parapet and faces the internal turmoil over tax.
Capital gains tax or wealth tax?
There you go, you guys all laughing at the same time.
If you thought that laugh was awkward, wait until Labor has to air its tax troubles repeatedly and publicly over the next 2 years. Jenna Lynch, Newshub.
US President Joe Biden is defying calls to bow out of the presidential race, telling donors, "No one's pushing me out."
High-profile Democrats are now openly calling for him to step aside, and Donald Trump's lead in the polls is only growing. US correspondent Mitch McCann reports.
As all hail to the chief rang through the halls of the White House, the chief himself continued his duties amid growing calls to give them up.
I had a bad night, and the fact of the matter is that, I screwed up. I made a mistake. That's 90 minutes on stage. Look at what I've done in 3.5 years.
Joe Biden told campaign staff on a call, "Let me say this as clearly as I possibly can and as simply and straightforward as I can. I am running. No one's pushing me out. I'm not leaving." It's the story that won't go away, 6 days after Joe Biden's debate performance from hell.
We have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires. We have to do with,
With 2 Democratic congressmen now publicly asking Biden to step back and bow out, the White House is protecting the president and pushing back.
Is President Biden considering stepping down?
Absolutely not.
Any discussions about
the
Vice President assuming his duties?
Absolutely not. The president is clear-eyed, and he is staying in the race.
But the voices of scepticism and sometimes frustration are tough to ignore. Democrat Nancy Pelosi, a powerful ally, was hardly reassuring on cable TV.
Is this an episode or is this a condition?
And if political pressure wasn't changing Biden's mind, neither is money, it seems. Democratic mega donor Ari Emanuel has suggested donors are considering not putting their money to the campaign.
He gave us a bunch of malarkey, and I'm really pissed. Right. And we all should be really pissed.
Right.
Today, the president assembled powerful Democratic governors to the Oval Office to shore up support. And luckily for him, that's what he got.
President Joe Biden is in it to win it. And all of us said we pledged our support to him because the stakes could not be higher.
But his polling numbers are getting lower by the day. He's now 6 percentage points below Trump. Over the weekend, Biden is expected to return to the campaign trail and undergo a high-profile TV interview. As the New York governor put it, the stakes really couldn't be higher. Mitch McCann, Newshub.
Time now for a look at the weather. And Heather, your request last night for photos worked.
Yeah.
It sure did. The inbox was flooded, which was great because here's just a few of them, and they summed up the general vibe of today's weather around the country, which was cold, frosty, foggy, even freezing fog in Taumaranui. That didn't let up till about 11 a.m. Now, Mount Cook Airport and Tekapo were the coldest spots, -7. And tomorrow's looking very similar with severe frost expected too. I'll have all those details after sport.
Thanks so much. Beautiful photos. Great to see them come in. The government's revealed its plan to fix mental health services. It involves new targets, but the Prime Minister is already admitting they might not be met.
Even the Conservatives admit they're in for a hiding as the UK heads to the polls.
And the question we've all been wondering, but we're too afraid to ask, can hippos fly? Welcome back. The government has given itself 6 years to turn around mental health services.
It's launching a $10 million fund and 5 very ambitious targets. But the Prime Minister's conceding they might be missed. Here's political reporter Amelia Wade.
The Prime Minister wants to do a mental health turnaround job.
Good intentions are not enough. It's got to be about results. We need both big hearts and we need hard heads.
Alongside launching a $10 million fund for innovative mental health services, today the government told Kiwis to hold them to account.
We're determined to deliver results that make a difference. And that's why we've set 5 targets so you can hold us to account.
Those targets are, by that 2030, 25% of mental health and addiction investment goes towards prevention and early intervention, 500 mental health professionals are trained each year, that 95% of mental health and addiction-related emergency department presentations are admitted, discharged or transferred within 6 months, 80% of referrals through the Access and Choice program are seen within 1 week, and beyond that, 80% of people needing help are seen within 3 weeks.
Literally just yesterday I was trying to help a family get in earlier than 6 months. That's a really big difference between 3 weeks and 6 months. And I want to know how. How are you going to do that? Because we're lacking in clinicians, we're lacking in professionals to be able to do this.
New Zealand's mental health workforce is extremely stretched and under-resourced. The National Workforce for Mental Health, TAPO, estimates we have about 1,700 shortages in professionals across the sector. Currently, 420 professionals are trained each year, 80 short of the 500 target.
Is 80 going to be enough to take the wait list from 6 months to 3 weeks? The math wasn't necessarily mathing.
Even the Prime Minister admits the targets are ambitious.
We may or may not hit our targets all the time.
But you might not hit your targets.
Well, we are going to drive towards our targets, but you want to play a game of gotcha of did you hit this target or not hit this target. What's important is things have to change.
The targets are an accountability measure, not a game. Amelia Wade, Newshub.
The polling stations have opened in what's shaping as the most decisive UK election in living memory.
One of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's own team has conceded Labour could win the largest majority ever, a comment quickly slammed by Labour as a desperate tactic to try and scare voters from delivering it. Europe correspondent Lisette Raymer reports.
The campaign bingo card is filling up now. Selfies and signatures and smirk-raising stunts, even surprise door knocks in the knockout round.
It's very tough to call what's going to happen.
The polls are not finding it hard at all. The UK is headed for political overhaul, turfing out the Tories after 14 years of rule. On election day eve, Rishi Sunak is reportedly fearful he's going to lose his seat, not just the keys to number 10.
No, every vote matters.
He spent his final hours on the trail, out wooing citizens not even old enough to tick yes for Tories.
I love pepperoni, that's my favourite.
Having already alienated most eligible voters. From leaving D-Day commemorations early to revealing his childhood sacrifice of living without Sky TV, it's been a gloomy old campaign for Sunak from start to finish. The Home Secretary today ruled it's over before a cabinet minister dug the defeatist dagger that much deeper.
There is a distinct possibility here of a landslide that's the largest that there's ever been in British electoral history.
Labour says it's a dirty tactic. The Tories are trying to suppress Labour's vote. But unlike Sunak, not even the weather is getting the better of Sir Keir Starmer.
Let's go out, let's do it.
There was still a bit to do.
Starmer, is it?
That's Starmer, Keir Starmer, yeah.
That's the one, yeah.
What do you think of him?
Useless.
Sorry, we don't know who he is.
No. I recognise it. Have you heard of Keir Starmer?
No, sorry, no.
Brits more certain of who they are not going to vote into power than who they are. Lisa Raymer, Newshub.
Well, Andrew's in with sport later, and some big calls from Scott Robertson.
Absolutely, yeah. He's named his first squad to face England on Saturday, and he sprung a couple of surprises with Blues fullback Stephen Petafeta named to start in the 15 jersey, with only a place on the bench for Beauden Barrett. Razor talks us through his selection shortly. And a World Cup hero misses out on the Olympics as the football Ferns finally address the off-field drama involving their controversial coach.
And also ahead, Hurricane Beryl pounds Jamaica with devastating winds. The storm has already killed 9 and an island was effectively flattened in half an hour.
We're coming in for landing to AM's final show on Friday. Until then, we're doing what we do every day with the latest news.
And this week, we are especially enjoying the ride, or should I say flight.
Or join us for takeoff at 6 a.m.
Hoki mai anō, welcome back. Hurricane Beryl is lashing Jamaica and leaving Armageddon-like destruction across the southeast of the Caribbean. The Category 4 storm, which has already claimed 9 lives, is strongest and is set to hit the island and is the strongest to hit the island in 15 years. Meanwhile, a clearer picture has emerged of the devastation it caused in Grenada. The country's Prime Minister calling it unimaginable and total. About 98% of the buildings on 2 islands have been destroyed.
One NZ has signed on as naming rights partner for Christchurch's new stadium, Te Kaha. The 10-year deal will begin in 2026, the stadium's scheduled completion date. Keisha Brownlee has the details.
Over 900,000 working hours to date, and now more than half finished.
My favourite saying used to be up the wires, it now might be up the stadium.
One NZ signing a 10-year deal for naming rights with the promise of bringing their other famous sponsorship to town.
I know Cameron George and the team are going to be committed to playing more Warriors games down here.
Te Kaha is on time and on budget.
We're going to have the best stadium in the country by a long shot.
The Mayor quelling concerns the council's planning to slash event funding.
A lot of money has been given to events for the city. I think we'll make it happen, no worries. And people will be queuing at the door to get here.
The next key milestone will be beginning the build for the roof, which will require 9,000 tonnes of steel, making this only the second covered stadium in New Zealand.
This is the start of Christchurch being the events and sporting capital of New Zealand.
Work already underway to secure some big acts.
Taylor, why not?
Only a year and a half to wait. Keisha Brownlee, Newshub.
Students at Bruce McLaren Intermediate have had a day to remember, getting to touch and, in some cases, even sit in a real McLaren.
Even more special, the kids got to meet the daughter of the man their school is named after. Perry Wilton was there.
It felt like a family homecoming.
It gives me the greatest honour to be able to welcome Amanda McLaren, Bruce McLaren's daughter.
Amanda McLaren today joining the McLaren Trust to take students on a trip down memory lane.
In 1963, I founded my own motor racing team. Now, let me tell you just one story so you get what it was about.
Bruce McLaren's more than a Kiwi legend. His name is synonymous with global motorsport. His achievements plaster the walls of this school, and a special surprise today, plastered smiles on the students' faces. And some kids who'd earned the chance
to sit in the Can-Am car, your name has to be in the merit box.
Got to sit in and be driven in some of McLaren's latest creations.
We're going to McDonald's.
The McLaren story really is an Aotearoa story. That classic McLaren swish logo that's actually a Kiwi. That Kiwi even features in the light design of the brand's supercars. It's a legacy that surrounds these kids, a legacy that today came to life. It sparked excitement Amanda McLaren hopes could turn to bright futures down the track.
You know, Bruce was a young kid with a crippling disease, with a big dream, and he achieved that despite all the adversities. And just to give these children a taste of what potentially they could aspire to, we really hope that some of Dad's magic rubs off on them.
That was so cool!
Was it amazing?
Yeah.
How loud was it in there?
It was pretty loud. It was so cool.
Not something you often hear after a school assembly. Perry Wilton, Newshub.
There you go. I never knew the badge or the logo was actually a Kiwi.
It's in the lights. Fantastic.
That, eh? You learn something every day. Well, FIAK, monkey see, monkey do, how aping the behaviour of the real things helped the creative critters at Weta FX on their latest blockbuster.
And you won't want to miss this one. Can hippos fly? Science finally has the answer.
Cannot wait for that. Scott Robertson pulls some surprises with his first squad to face England on Saturday, plus the Tall Blacks stun Croatia to take a giant step towards qualifying for the Olympics. And Lulu Sun advances to the third round at Wimbledon, leaving her on the brink of Kiwi tennis history.
Discover the thrill of a new Suzuki Swift Sport and Newshub Sport.
Scott Robertson has made his mark with the naming of his first All Blacks team to face England in Dunedin on Saturday. In the forwards, Samipeni Finau starts at blindside flanker and joins Dalton Papali'i and Ardie Savia in the loose trio. Patrick Tuipulotu is named at lock and will pair up with Scott Barrett, who'll captain the side for the first time. But the big shake-up comes in the backs. Blues fullback Stephen Perufeta gets the nod over Beauden Barrett in the 15 jersey, while TJ Perenara's comeback is complete, named to start at halfback. Barrett will add plenty of experience off the bench, while Luke Jacobson's inclusion means there's no place in the 23 for Ethan Blackadder. As rugby reporter Ollie Ritchie discovered, the squad was a tough one to pick for the new coach.
With a first look at the first venue of his All Blacks coaching tenure, Scott Robertson is dialed in. It's been a busy week, but he's ready for what's to come. A message from Sir Graham Henry driving home that Test week is finally here.
Sir Ted actually texted me last night and said all the best. His career started 20 years ago down here in the same place, so that was a nice little touch for him.
As the All Blacks get ready to embrace a new era, Robertson has stamped his mark on this team from Test 1. Stephen Perufeta given the nod at fullback ahead of Beauden Barrett.
Experience of 123 Test matches counts for a lot, but also a guy who's in form, good around the high ball, playing great footy.
The same can be said of Sevu Reece this year. Reece endured a difficult 2023, any All Black ambitions gone with a torn ACL in Super Rugby, although he can see the lighter side now.
Yeah, and I'm just very grateful to be back here. Special thanks to my mate here. Sorry, mate. Yeah, he was the one that ruled me out of last year. In case you guys are wondering, yeah, it was him. Yeah.
It's clear Robertson has got this group to gel quickly.
Cold Monday mornings, first meeting, we're all up and we're all ready. So it's awesome. It keeps us attentive and ready to go.
But even for those with a plethora of Test experience, there's an edge.
I'm nervous, but nerves bring the best out of us, and it's a great challenge for myself to step forward and try and own it.
Robertson wants this team to be dominant on Saturday. Despite the clear expectation that follows the team and its coaching regime, Robertson's focus is clear.
Just dialing in on this Test match and what's it going to take for us to win it. They're a hell of a side, England.
Scott Robertson is confident his All Blacks will be more than up for the challenge.
All right, and Ollie's with us now. Ollie, let's talk some of these selections. Perufeta over Barrett. It's a big call. What's your read on this one?
Yeah, well, it tells me that even if you're a 100-test All Black, your spot in Scott Robertson's All Blacks is not guaranteed. Remember, it's been nearly a couple of months since Beauden Barrett has played elite rugby over in the Japanese League One. He did, of course, get that game for Coastal, and so he is a little bit short of a gallop. It would have been easy for Robertson to just put Barrett straight back in there, proven performer in the black jersey, knows the international game well, but it's a message from Robertson that actually I want you to get up to All Black standard. I'm going to bring you off the bench. That way I'm going to give Perufeta a chance. No doubt Beauden Barrett will have a big role to play on Saturday and in this series, but he's going to have to prove himself if he wants to get back in the starting side.
Absolutely. Now, quickly, Samapeni Whenau over Ethan Blackadder. Has this established the pecking order at 6, or do you think Blackadder will get a chance to stake his claim at some point?
Well, I think it's established it for now. No doubt Ethan Blackadder will get a chance to play All Black rugby this year. He's very highly rated by Scott Robertson. Robertson and Jason Ryan know him well. He's a very good player. But for now, they want someone that's almost a like-for-like for Shannon Frizzell, who, of course, is not available. They get that in Samapeni Whenau, so he will get the first chance. But certainly I would expect to see Ethan Blackadder with some game time for the All Blacks soon.
Rugby reporter Ollie Ritchie, live from our Auckland newsroom. Thanks very much. Well, the Kiwi hero of last year's Women's Football World Cup has missed out on selection for the Paris Olympics. Hannah Wilkinson has been left out of the 18-strong football Ferns squad for the Games, which will be led by an interim coach. Michael Main today telling Newshub he believes the off-field drama involving coach Jitka Klimkova is behind them, despite one senior player refusing to say whether she wants the embattled coach to return. Alex Chapman has more.
At the scene of New Zealand women's football's most famous goal, there's no room on the plane to Paris for its scorer.
It was really tough. She's a three-time Olympian. She holds a lot of respect in this group, and it was never an easy discussion.
No Hannah Wilkinson, no Jitka Klimkova either. The coach last week stepping away from the campaign despite being cleared of an employment-related matter following an independent investigation. Michael Mains replaced her for the Games.
I've spoken to every single player pretty quickly after I found out the news. We've had good discussions. They're all ready to get on the grass and work, and that's where we want to focus our attention. Beyond this, I'll let that process play out in New Zealand football.
As first revealed by Newshub last week, it's understood players-only meetings were held after an alleged incident involving Klimkova.
Were you involved in these players-only meetings?
Good question. I can't comment on that.
How are you feeling about Jitka not being involved anymore then?
I mean, we're working on a process in the background, so at the moment, like, our focus is on the Olympics.
It's believed Klimkova lost the dressing room with players not wanting her to continue in the role.
Would you like to see her return?
We will go through that in the process.
A process that New Zealand football will be heavily involved in. Their CEO, Andrew Pragnell, though, wasn't available to speak to media, despite being at the event. The players will have to do the talking on the field instead. Alex Chapman, Newshub.
The Tall Blacks have stunned Croatia to leave the team just one win away from reaching the semi-finals of their Olympic qualifying tournament in Greece. Led by Los Angeles Clippers centre Ivica Zubac, Croatia opened up a 7-point lead with less than 5 minutes to go. But the Tall Blacks timed their comeback to perfection.
And Webster knocks down the three. There it is. Ely doesn't mess around, takes it deep, he ties it! What a finish this was. Unbelievable from Shea Ely.
The Tall Blacks going on to win 90-86. They can finish top of their group and advance to the semi-finals if they beat Slovenia tonight. They'll also still advance if they lose by no more than 9 points. Lulu Sun's dream run at Wimbledon has continued, defeating Ukrainian Yulia Starodutseva in 3 sets. Despite dropping the first set, Sun went on to win 4-6, 6-3, 6-2 in 2 hours and 13 minutes. If Sun can defeat China's Zhu Lin in her third round match on Saturday morning, it'll be the best performance by a Kiwi woman at a Grand Slam since Belinda Caldwell reached the semi-finals of the 1989 Australian Open. And finally, Sir Mark Cavendish has made cycling history with a record-breaking 35th stage win on the Tour de France at the ripe old age of 39. 3 years on from matching the record of 34 stage wins, Cavendish finally got his chance to go one better, part of a chaotic sprint finish in this morning's 5th stage.
Mark Cavendish all the way to the line. Max Bissau, record breaker, stage 35 in the Tour de France.
You see what it means? Like, okay, doesn't mean we're going to be top in the UCI rankings or anything, but the Tour de France is bigger than cycling, isn't it?
Cavendish's first stage win came all the way back in 2008. I think the best thing about winning that race was he avoided that crash. I felt every moment of that. That was rough, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was bad.
Thanks so much, Andrew. Box office hit Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has had audiences swinging from cinema to cinema since its release.
And once again, they have Weta FX to thank and some of the residents of Wellington Zoo. Here's Kate Roger.
The collective weight of Oscars that world-dominating visual effects house Weta FX has is heavier than the King Kong they created, and their groundbreaking work on Everything Apes just continues to blow the minds of fans everywhere. Much to learn, much to teach. You may think that those apes are a far cry from this sleepy dude, but cut 'em some slack. It's midwinter nap time at Wellington Zoo for this lot. In fairness, though, they're quite used to VFX guru Eric Winquist hanging around their enclosure. Not as weird as it sounds. Eric's worked on all the recent Planet of the Apes films. Studying the real McCoy before creating the blockbuster ones has been pivotal.
It was clear for us at the outset of this that we needed to focus on facial animation more than we even had on the previous movies, speech in particular, and needed to make sure that these characters, their facial rig could actually support speech.
These Planet of the Apes have much to thank another planet, Pandora. Weta's Oscar-winning work on James Cameron's latest Avatar, The Way of Water, cascaded perfectly into their new kingdom. This new apes, it has a lot of water.
We came off the back of a film called The Way of Water.
Oh, no, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Heard of that one.
Which allowed me to go into this project without losing massive amounts of sleep every night. The 6 years of R&D that went into that project gave us a really robust tool set for doing simulation work.
What a wonderful day! From the big screen to the small, fans can start beating their chests with joy. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is about to head into homes next week. Kate Roger, Newshub.
Now, you're probably one of the many deniers, I know that Mike certainly is, when it comes to whether hippos can fly. But, Mike, listen to this. The science is out, and by Potamus, they can. It's true, they do need a long run up, but at full pelt, about 45 kilometres an hour, video shows the 2,000-kilogram monsters can, in fact, get all 4 feet off the ground at once, and that, Mike, is the definition of airborne.
Oh, come on. You're not fooling anyone with that.
Just some excuse to run some hippo pictures, eh? Right, coming up next we have Newshub weather, and the ski fields are going to get a top up this weekend, Heather.
I'm worried about your knowledge of science. The southern fields are in luck with 2 cold fronts up from the Southern Ocean from tomorrow. The second one on Saturday is the one delivering the snow, likely down to 900 metres. Then watch what happens for next week. Absolutely nothing. High pressure parks up and won't move for likely a week, so clear, calm and cold. Your full forecast is next.
Tomorrow's weather brought to you by nature. Turn it to power by Meridian.
No, Mai Arnold, welcome back. It's another cold, frosty and foggy night around the country thanks to high pressure, which is hanging around for a very, very long time. So all looking very promising for the weekend. A few showers remain from the trough over the northeast, but they're clearing. The only real active weather is a pair of cold fronts, which move up the South Island tomorrow night. But don't hate on them because the second one will bring snow. So it's another night for the South Island with clear skies, and yep, frost forms once again too. A few showers for Fiordland and the Southland coast arrive heading towards sunrise with sou'westers. Then tomorrow those showers spread out from Fiordland, reaching Greymouth and Queenstown by the evening, and sou'westers turn westerly behind that front. Clear and cold for the North Island, plenty of frost forming with just a few showers for Gisborne and Hawke's Bay and potentially the Coromandel Peninsula. Tomorrow frosty and early fog once more from about Waitomo to Whanganui. Showers clear Hawke's Bay in the morning, then Gisborne tomorrow night with a sou'wester. So it's a similar morning tomorrow to today with morning frost for Hamilton and some around the Coromandel and Auckland. Northland, your southerly will ease in the evening. A chilly morning here, frosty too with fine skies for all across the day. Winds are light with a south to southwest wind along the coast. That'll ease in the evening. Now the trough over the northeast is moving offshore. So showers in the morning for Hawke's Bay. They'll clear, then clear Gisborne tomorrow night with an easing sou'wester. Frosty tomorrow morning for pretty much everyone here. Taumaranui, you'll have freezing fog again like you did today. Northerlies develop for Kapiti and Wellington. Nelson, you're fine with frost, then dry with a sou'wester tomorrow night. Everyone else here starts fine with frost or fog, but showers roll through towards the end of the day. Morning frost everywhere here, but severe frost expected for Christchurch, Ashburton and Timaru. Then it's fine. Severe frost in the morning too for Alexandra. The day starts fine for most, but cloud increases with showers arriving in the evening, and it's windy for Southland, strong westerlies. So frost and fog possible in the morning. That could be freezing fog too around Dunedin. Skies are clear till tomorrow night when showers arrive with a nor'wester. Severe morning frost dropping to -3 overnight. Again, the day itself is fine, just with a light breeze. Cloud and showers before sunrise for Wellington, then it's fine. Morning frost expected for sheltered spots with a developing northerly. A cloudy, showery day to start, but clearing west of Wairoa in the morning, then everywhere else tomorrow night. Sou'westers will ease after midday. It is fine for Tauranga. There's a south to southwest wind, but that eases tomorrow night. It's chilly, feels like high of only 10. Fine, frosty and with a south to southwest breeze. That's the entire day for Hamilton, then cloud rolls in after sunset. Even colder than today for Friday morning around Auckland. Areas of morning frost with showers for Great Barrier. Light showers develop along the west coast tomorrow night. All right, over the Tasman. Still showery for Sydney, Brisbane and up the coast to Cairns, and showers for Samoa and New Caledonia. Everyone else is sunny and warm. Back to us for the start of the school holidays. They start almost perfect up top. Just a few showers on Saturday, nothing significant though. Great weather here. If there's a rogue shower on Saturday out east, don't worry, not hanging around for long. Looking good for the rest of the North Island, not just for the weekend, but well into next week. There is a weak front that tracks up the South Island on Saturday, and in its wake, a strong southwesterly flow. That will ease on Monday when high pressure locks on over the entire country. And finally, last night I pointed out that very limited time left as Newshub weather and encouraged you all to email in photos. Well, you did that, and I wanted again one last time, but no stitch-ups. Not like the naked sunbather in front of the lighthouse. That almost made it here.
Well,
classic.
Where is the photo, Heather? What's it?
Just
a little bit of nudity on the news. I
Maybe
mean,
tomorrow.
Come on, at this
Maybe
point,
tomorrow.
why not? Thanks, Heather. No, that's Newshub. I don't mean it. That's Newshub Live at 6 for today.
You can get in touch with the Newshub team one last time. Use it newshub.co.nz. I'm Mike McRoberts.
I'm Samantha Hayes for Maria.
Bye.